KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Welcome
morning,
to a beautiful Saturday morning. What a gorgeous day out there, and what a gorgeous day inside as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm especially excited today about the guests we have on. We have Shad Bogany, who is, I can't know how many hats he's wearing right now, but he is the chairman for the Texas Association of Realtors. He's a past chairman for the Houston Association of Realtors. He has been involved with all sorts of programs for the state.
This guy's got more acronyms behind his name than I've seen in any guest in a while.
So, Shad, welcome this morning.
Thanks, Rat Pack.
You got all of the initials.
And not only that, in his spare time, he also does another radio show on a station, KWWJ 1360 AM. Now, our subject today, Chris, and you were kind of inspired me because you did a down payment assistance program. And then we started talking, there's a lot of things out there that people need to know about programs out there that'll help them get in a home. Tell me a little bit about that.
You're absolutely right. One of the things is the market's been a very strong market, the past couple of years. It's been an extremely strong market for the past 10 years in regards to down payment assistance programs. And most people don't realize is there's a lot of down payment assistance programs available to you here in Houston. Whether it be Seth, where we're going to talk about here in a few moments with Southeast Texas Housing, or you've got TDHCA, or a whole host of other types of products out there. And the one thing is even the city of Houston has them. And most people don't understand what exists, how they work, what is entailed by them. I mean, we talked about MCC before the show came on. And so that's really what it's about today, is just talk about what's going on not only in real estate, but how you can get a hold of and apply for some of these great programs and how they truly work in conjunction with purchasing real estate.
I did have a question, because
I hope you have at least one.
Admittedly, I know very little about the down payment assistance program, so I'm probably a good prototype of a person running around out there in the market that knows nothing about this program. Can we, where from a philosophy standpoint, what was the point of the program in the first place? Why? I know you had worked a lot with some of the creation of a lot of the programs that are out there. So what was the motivation behind the programs in the first place? Why did the state look at introducing those, or the city for that matter, I guess?
Well, first of all, Joe, you got to keep in mind that Texas ranks 45th in the country in home ownership. So how do you have a state that is affordable and 45 ranked out of 50 states?
Something isn't adding up there.
Something's really not adding up. And so, we create wealth for individuals by home ownership. I don't know anybody makes their money, they go put it in real estate. Mm-hmm. So we've got to start building stable neighborhoods. Kids do better when their parents own a home. It's crime is less when it's more homeowners there. And so the state felt like we needed to start putting more people in the houses. A lot of it started with President Bush when he was governor. Then President Bush went and started doing a lot of faith-based marketing and trying to get more people in the houses, and the money has come down. So it's an opportunity for someone to build wealth for their family.
Let's talk. You were involved with the Texas Department of Housing for about 7 years, and you put together a program called MCC. Let's talk a little bit about that and maybe some of the other programs that have come through the state.
Mortgage credit programs, MCC, is a super program. What it does is it gives the buyer a tax credit. For those who are listening, give you an idea, if you are a mom or a parent and you've got a tax credit for school, for daycare, it's the same thing. It's not a deduction, it's a tax credit. So typically most tax credits are about $2,000 for the whole year. And so what happens is that if you were getting $1,000 back on your taxes, you would get now $3,000 back on your taxes. So and a lot of the lenders will also use it as income because they divide it by 12, so you got $166 a month income. It is the best affordable housing program out there. If you remember, President Obama had the $8,000 tax credit. Well, this is better because this is the life of the loan as long as you're paying interest on it. And so it's much stronger.
Kind of revenue neutral to the state then at that time as well.
Right. The state doesn't make a whole lot of money affordable housing, like I said on Fort Bend Housing Finance Board, we don't make a lot of money, but it keeps things flowing and it keeps opportunities available. It takes a 5% interest rate, for example, and brings it down to an effective rate of almost 3%.
Oh, my. And what are the qualifications for a loan like that?
Most of these programs are based on how many people in your household and what your income is. So usually 65 for a single person, somewhere between 60, 65 for a single person. And when Seth comes on, I know they are part of that MCC program. I'm sure she can give you the fine details of it.
And tell me what other programs you've seen that have been very effective in there. I know the city of Houston has done one where they were trying to help police, firemen, and teachers. You maybe talk a little bit about that and the other programs that are like that.
Well, T-Shack had a program with fire policemen, and what they were trying to do is get these service providers to live back in the communities in the neighborhoods. And so they would get a low interest rate plus down payment assistance for these particular programs. The same way with teachers, trying to get teachers to live near the schools that they have. The city of Houston probably has the most successful program, which gives up to $30,000 grant program for these particular areas. $30,000 is a lot of money for a first-time home buyer. What they're doing with that program, saying they got all these abandoned lots, Rob, out here, no taxes are being paid on it. So they get a builder to build a house, give a $30,000 grant to a home buyer who now the property becomes taxable. So now you got a taxable property. So they're trying to build the tax base.
Yeah, that's been very successful. Is that through Laura at the city?
Laura did the lot purchasing, but it's through the city down payment assistance program. Now they are making some changes in that program, and you guys will get it fresh off the press. They're gonna if HUD has come in, guys, and said you're giving too much money. So what they're gonna do is now deduct any money that you've been given, or whether it's appraisal, credit reports, anything that's been done in the transaction, they're going to subtract from that $30,000. So the only money you'll get, so no one will really get 30 anymore. You may get 20, and this starts place in the next week or 2 weeks.
Sorry. And how's that work? Is it, essentially, they will actually put $20,000 down. Is there any other money that's needed from the buyer?
Buyer normally has to have at least 3.5% into the deal. They don't need it for the closing, but they've got to have at least 3.5% into the program itself. But mostly buyers that get this money can move in for $1,000, but they had to have at least 3.5% money saved.
Okay. And Chris, you did that deal we did for Mr. Danny Frank and his buyer. What was that program?
You know, that was one of the bond programs, actually. You know, you also have some of the like Program 79 out there. Part of 77, some of the extra money out there. So it was one of the bond programs. And, you know, and one thing is always very interesting, and I tell everybody all the time, is there are a lot of different programs. And what you have to really look at is which program works best for that individual. Because there's a lot of different things you can do out there. In fact, one of the deals that we got, you know, probably about 6 months ago, believe it or not, there's a program that HUD offers that allows police officers to get into a home with about 50% off of that property. And the reason why is because what they're trying to do is bring in, as Shad was saying, individuals into certain areas of town that will allow them to repopulate areas that need to be built back up and give them a huge discount to do so.
Yeah, what's better than having a police officer for your neighbors?
Absolutely.
It makes great neighbors, absolutely. Well, there's a huge amount of programs. How do you know which ones to use? I mean, where do you go find them all?
Well, I'm sure the lender will say you come to us. I'm going to tell you, you go.
Oh, Chris. Look.
No, well, I'm sure Chris would, but what I found the best source is really your realtor. And then the realtor can sit down with you and tell you, you say, hey, I'm going to live in Fort Bend, so he knows to go to Fort Bend. He's going to go to Southeast Houston and says, hey, I'm going to go, you need to go to Seth. So I think the realtor is where it all starts, because we know most really good realtors who are professionals know these different programs. So once you have that consultation with your buyer, you send them over here, you send them over there. So there's several places to send, because everybody's not moving in the city of Houston. So
Right.
if you're moving to Fort Bend, you're moving out to Beaumont or Baytown, you got to be able to know those.
And I think that's some of the misunderstandings out there. A lot of people think everything that's for down payment assistance and special programs are all inner city. They're not.
They're not.
They're all over the city, which is really good. And I want the listeners out there to know that Shad knows what he's talking about. He did about 110 transactions last year. Not all affordable housing, because he looks at every client as, what
Man,
is this
we're
person
lucky.
Yeah,
We're lucky.
Yeah.
We brought him on, and actually somebody knew who they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That could have went horribly wrong.
What a shot! And he was for several years. I know he's been in Houston Business Journal's top 25. So this man knows what he's talking about, and he is my go-to guy when I want to know about things about affordable housing programs, because that's how I get exposed to it. It's being around other professionals. So if I'm going to consider a down payment assistance, my first start is with you. Is that correct?
Right. You go to the realtor first, and you interview the realtor when you meet with them. Do you know anything about down payment assistance? If they say no, then you need to keep moving.
Seems simple.
I'm catching a pattern here.
You've got to interview those realtors, because everybody's knowledge is different. Some people don't do a whole lot of it. And so, and then a lot of realtors have been certified by TAR. We have a certification program, and that they go through and learn all these different programs. So you need to ask. You really need to sit down and just interview your realtor. Hey, I'm looking for some down payment assistance. Well, I don't know. And we all think that the big three banks are the only ones that have this money, but there are other lenders, like our lender here today from Willow Bend. I mean, there are other lenders out here that know these programs, know them extremely well. And one thing I would share with everybody is that these programs are not infinite. They're finite. When they run out of money, they're out of money.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about having a house built with this program, it may be there and it may not be there by the time it's finished.
And that's a good
really
point
good
to put out right there. Is one of the things most people have to realize is these are bonds. Technically speaking, all these are bond programs, right? So what happens is their respective organizations put together a bulk of money, and that money is available based on a certain whatever down payment, interest rate, et cetera. And when that money goes away, you're right, it goes away. So it's important to know, and I would agree with you, contrary to popular belief, I think it does start with the realtor perspective. You have to know, you have to go with an agent who knows down payment assistance, who knows how to work the area, who knows what you're going to qualify for, and then they'll put you in touch, obviously, with the great lender at that point to be able to work with. And then also understanding is how to negotiate, the time frames a lot of times, because if you're going to go through one of the programs, it's not necessarily a 30-day close or a 2-week close. You have to give yourself some time, especially if you have to do any home buyer training that's required on those. And then lastly, as we talk about, is you have to check and see what available funds are available, because it used to happen this way: is all of a sudden they'd run out and you qualified somebody for a program which there's no more funds. Right. So
let's talk about credit scores and things like that. The industry, the lending industry, of course, is very driven by that. What credit scores can you get somebody into a house?
I've seen as low as 580.
Oh my!
And typically, if you're doing a 580, you got to put more money down. And so but I've seen as low as 580 credit scores and up. But if you go to like the city program, it's 640 up. The Harris County program has always been at least 620. You got to at least have I don't care if you can get 580 approved, you still got to be 620 to get their money. So each program is different.
And of course, if there are some credit issues, you can always call our good friend here, Joe, with Improve My Credit USA.
Shameless plug. Thank you, Rob.
Yes, I know. I expect that
I happen
lunch
to know
later.
a couple people that can help with that.
Yes. And with the down payment assistance, what other type of affordable programs are out there? And they're not all just down payment assistance. There's other types of programs there where people have special interest rates and things of that nature.
Well, you have the bond programs, which are lower interest rates. You have the MCCs, which we talked about earlier, and then you have the down payment. And Seth, who you had coming in a few minutes, have a program that kind of almost combines all three of those programs together. And so you just have to. It's really key that you go to the right lender too, because you can go if you ask a lender, "Oh, I can do them," and I'm signed up, but he's never done one. That is a nightmare waiting to happen.
Are you speaking from experience on that?
I'm speaking from experience.
Oh,
Shad, we're coming up on a break, and I want to make sure that folks know how to get a hold of you.
You can call me at 713-667-1000. I work over at Beverly Homes and Gardens, Gary Green in the Bel Air Center. And but you can call me 713-667-1000. Guys, I want to really thank you for inviting me.
Oh,
and
we're not
going to
letting you
have
go.
Oh, we're not letting you go yet. You
okay.
can stay on for the lightning round a little bit later.
He's already cutting out.
You know,
Waving goodbye.
for all those listening, we are coming up against a break again. We want to hear from you. You can call us at 800-808-5548. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I live in a tiny closet, a lukewarm cold water flat.
I think that you can agree that you're not the same person you were a year ago. Something changed, either because you had a death in the family, new job, or about to purchase a home. Allow the team at Jason Jimenez Insurance Agency to protect those areas of your life that mean so much to you. Their goal is to provide peace of mind for your shelter, transportation, business, or life. The Jason Jimenez Agency is a second-generation insurance company that's been ranked in the top 1% multiple times. They're dedicated to being there for their clients when it really counts. Call today and become part of the family. 713-270-0073. That's 713-270-0073. A friend will be there for a friend. Allow Jason Jimenez to be your friend.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Your application was denied for credit reasons.
I'm sorry, sir. Your credit score is too low to qualify for a home loan at this time.
No.
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 Are you tired of being turned down for credit? Have your dreams of home ownership, a new car, or even a promotion at work been shot down because of poor credit issues? Well, it's time to start dreaming again. Improve My Credit USA, the consumer-voted #1 credit repair company in Texas for 3 years running, can help you find a new direction for your credit. For a free consultation, dial 281-914-4116. That's 281-914-4116. It's a complimentary consultation, and a certified credit consultant is waiting to speak to you right now. Start dreaming again and call today. 281-914-4116. Improve My Credit USA.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. Man, you know what's funny is we're all talking, then he goes live.
And live.
Quiet as a mouse inside here, let me tell you. You know, we got a great show going on right now. We're talking all about down payment assistance. Again, if you have a question, reach out. Call us right now. We're live in studio with some great individuals. 800-808-5548. And next up, actually, is Rhonda with Seth, which is also known as the Southeast Texas Housing Finance Corporation. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and thank y'all so much for having me out here today. I'm excited to have a chance to talk about all these great programs, and there are a lot of programs to talk about.
Okay, well, let's just start off. Let's start
All
talking
right,
about
well then, you know what? I'm going with it. Well, my name's Rhonda Mitchell, and I do marketing and outreach for Southeast Texas Housing. Southeast Texas Housing, they've been around for years, and they've had all kinds of great programs. The programs change periodically, you know, as funds come and go, and ideas and what's best in the marketplace. You know, that does change. Right now, though, we have a program that is available across Texas. So not even just limited to Southeast Texas, but we do have a program that is available across Texas, and you don't have to be a first-time home buyer.
Well,
How
let's talk
cool
about
is that?
Let's talk about it. Tell me what the program looks like.
That is the Seth 5-Star Texas Advantage program, and it provides up to a 5% grant, and that's going to be 5% of the loan amount. So, for example, if maybe you had a loan amount of $150,000, this program is going to provide you a $7,500 grant. And when I say grant, I mean no strings attached, no lien, no repayment, no recapture provision, no.
No length of time you have to stay in the house?
No, sir.
And, you know, and that's important, by the way. Let's point that out. You know, one of the things that most people have to realize is a lot of the programs out there, there is either a recapture period in time, you have to stay in the home for a certain period of time, you know, et cetera. So that's extremely important to know what the difference is between those things.
Yeah, you're very right. I mean, it really is. You know, obviously nobody knows what they're going to be doing 10 years from now. And these programs, they all have different fund sources. And so sometimes there are different requirements on the fund.
Let's talk about the requirements for that particular, the 5-star program. Let's talk about somebody sitting out and said, I'm really interested in that program. How do they qualify?
Well, they need to not be a first-time home buyer, so you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, but you do have to be income eligible, and that's going to depend upon the county in which the home is located in. So say, for example, they're looking at maybe Harris, Galveston counties. The maximum income for that program is going to be $76,100 a year. So that's the maximum. So, if they're making under that, that's going to be just fine.
Is that an adjusted gross income?
That's going to be income that's on the loan application.
Okay.
So that's something that really the lender is determining for them.
So that's household income, is that right?
It's going to be income on the loan application, so not even household income. It might be that you've got mom and dad, and maybe we're only doing the loan in dad's name. Then we're only looking at dad's income at that point.
Right.
So
That's
a little easier to qualify.
Right. And know that income usually, in general, this is off subject, well, on subject, but when you look at a loan application,
it's our show. We can do what
it's
we want.
exactly right. Is that when you look at a loan application, the income that a mortgage company is obligated to look is at your gross income, not your net income. Okay. Now, also, if you are self-employed, you have to look at any self-employment income. If you have your own business, let's say you're working for a big company, you got your own business, and you have a Schedule C profitability, you have to use that as income. So it is total income associated with the file, and the way we underwrite it or document it on that loan application goes by the normal standards associated with Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, FHA, et cetera.
So and we're looking at, so we get a 5% grant. What other monies are necessary from the borrower?
Well, from the borrower, there is no investment required on this program because of the fund source. That 5% grant, it comes from us, and we are an instrumentality of government. So it takes care of what is the buyer's required minimum investment per FHA guidelines.
Okay, so typically it's in conjunction with an FHA loan is what you're finding?
Yes. FHA and VA and rural housing for these programs. So these programs are not conventional loans.
Okay, and so they still have to qualify for the loan just like any other
Exactly.
FHA, VA.
Exactly. There's going to be that 640 FICO score requirement. So there's things that do come in like that.
And generally the best way to look at it as an overlay is what I tell everybody is you still have your underlying requirements for FHA, for VA, for rural development, which is
Exactly.
USDA. But what this basically is, this is now the overlay on top of that basically, which is going to give you the grant money, which is going to give you the availability to get in the home based upon what Seth offers.
Is there any restrictions on area? I mean, we're talking about the Southeast. Is it just restricted to the Houston area, or is it outlying areas?
Yeah, with the Seth 5-star program, it's actually available across the entire state. Now, I do have a couple of cities that it's not going to be allowed in. But that's not areas around here. It's El Paso, Grand Prairie, and McKinney. So really around here, the sky's the limit.
That's amazing.
El Paso's been booming, though.
I'm like, okay.
So Rhonda,
it's early.
Rhonda, is that your number one program right now? You think?
That is. It's a wonderful program for us, and it's helped so many people. Now, the program does require homebuyer education, which is a big component of all the down payment programs, that we're going to be talking about today and that Shad's talked about. They all do require that homebuyer education.
Yeah.
What's the typical? I don't even know if it's something that's on your radar, but what's the typical stuff that you all cover in the homebuyer education stuff?
Well, the homebuyer education, it covers shopping for a home and shopping for a mortgage, sustainability, staying in the home, things to expect as a home buyer.
Right.
Property taxes, repairs,
maintenance.
They really should do that for everybody.
Well, they're actually
especially
starting
first-time
to,
home
believe
buyers.
it or not, a lot of the lower down payment programs, even from a Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, like your 93%, your 97% financing, are all requiring people to go to homebuyer education classes now.
Because a lot of people think, it's just the cost of getting into the house, and they forget that, they do have maintenance and repairs and electricity and property taxes and all that stuff that goes along with it. So
Right.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's definitely true. And there's been studies on homebuyer education that have shown that you are 25% less likely to default when you've taken homebuyer education. It
Wow.
makes it
That's
for
a
a
great
stronger
statistic.
homebuyer.
And I think that's what happens with a lot of those loans that we had, that 106% financing, that recipe for disaster we had in the year 2000. If there'd been a little bit more education out there when you were taking a loan like that required very little skin in the game or no skin in the game, I think a little education would have saved a lot of people from getting into things over their heads.
Exactly.
So, talk about some other programs you have, Rhonda.
Well, we have our 5-star Texas Advantage, and that's the one I told you. It's no home buyer requirement. It is available across the state. We do have an MCC of our own, and the MCC is a mortgage credit certificate program, and we do have that, and it is available for select areas around here. And so it's going to be our Houston, Galveston, Brazoria, those areas.
And you can thank our other guest, Shad, for that even coming into being, because he was with the Texas Department of Housing when that was implemented. So thank you, Shad.
Yes, thank
Sounds
you.
like a great program.
The MCCs
Another
are
shameless plug
just
for Shad.
phenomenal. They are. They're phenomenal programs. And I always tell people when I talk about MCCs, we tell our home buyer, we say, you know what? You're buying a house, you're getting this great tax benefit now. You're going to be able to write off that interest, write off those property taxes. And you know what happens when they go do their taxes? They end up taking that standard deduction. But with the MCC, you are guaranteeing people that tax benefit for being a homeowner.
You still got to put it on the line,
though,
don't you?
You have to take it to get it. But you're guaranteeing somebody a tax benefit now for owning a home.
So
that comes with interviewing your accountant. Are you aware of down payment assistance programs?
Well, yeah. Well, that again, like Shad was saying, it starts with your realtor. I think that's something a realtor and a lender should be talking to the borrower about that. Like,
yes.
Be sure to do this, 'cause otherwise you're missing the entire benefit of it.
Exactly.
Well, this part of our I had a thought, and
oh my God!
I short-circuited myself.
It died of loneliness.
I was like, I'm going to say that, but wait, I want to back up a step. But wait, I want to. So I short-circuited my whole darn thought. We have the goal of a show is to educate our listeners. That is always the point of this show. We have a good time and we're silly and all that sort of thing, but it was really what we set out to do with the show was to provide some good content for people about the process of buying and owning a home. And one of the shows that we have on a regular basis is What You Don't Know Can Hurt You. And this falls kind of topically into that. You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So this whole show about down payment assistance is about educating folks on that subject. I don't know what is available out there, and I'm involved in the market, pretty closely.
Kim, we might get you that new home sooner than you think.
Oh, no. I thought we could make one show without mentioning that. And she listens every week. She mentions when y'all talk about when we're supposed to buy the house.
She sends me a regular check.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
So. From the standpoint of what's available out there and who it applies to and all that sort of thing, it's critical information to me. If you don't know to ask,
mm-hmm.
It's one thing to be able to interview the realtors. We always talk about on the show. That's a regular
mm-hmm.
thing. Interview
mm-hmm.
the experts you're working with to make sure they're experts. But if you don't know the questions to ask, how do you know? You don't know what you don't know. So in that vein. For folks that are listening out there, what questions should they be asking when it comes to, do these programs apply for me? You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Is there anything available out there for me?
Yeah, you definitely want to ask, what is available out there for me. You want to ask, you're a realtor. You want to say, you know what, I'm buying a home in this area. What's available in this area? Because a lot of times, it depends. It depends on your income. It depends on if you're a first-time home buyer or not. It depends. So sometimes it's more helpful just to know what all the programs are, and you kind of learn, and figure out what applies to you.
I just had to laugh because my wife texted me and said, "Tell Rob thanks, the check's in the mail."
I'm curious. Do people contact you directly?
They sure can.
So,
they sure can.
I give a phone
I'm
number.
going to go ahead and give our phone number. It's 281-484-4663. And our website is Seth, S-E-T-H, FC, like Frank Charlie.com. And we've got information there about our programs, and we're actually updating our website next month, and we're going to be providing contact information for City of Houston programs, Harris County programs. The city of Baytown has a program, the city of Galveston, the city of Texas City. They all have these wonderful programs.
Well, we got a couple of minutes. Why don't you talk about some of those other programs you just mentioned that are coming online?
Okay.
soon?
Well,
what's coming down the pipe?
Yes.
What's coming down? Okay. Well, we did talk about the city of Houston. They've got a great program. Harris County has a program, and that's going to be for Harris County outside the city limits of Houston, because Houston has their program. But they provide up to $14,000 for a new constructed home for first-time home buyers.
Now, we had a statement by Chris Kelso. The thing about new construction is you start the process, it's 6 months before you close.
Mm-hmm.
Is that program still going to be around in 6 months?
Harris County, they do a finite number. With the programs like the Seth 5-Star, those aren't programs that are going to run out of funds. They're replenishing. They're a mortgage type product, so they replenish themselves. As a loan funds, those funds become back available.
Let me ask you this, because this is something I think I've learned from being on the show. What exactly, and Chris, maybe you chime in on this, but what exactly is a first-time home buyer? Is it a person who's never owned a home?
it is someone that has not owned a home.
In the past 3 years. That is correct. So you could have
I think
owned
that's
a home
Gotta make
10
a
years
good
ago
tag
and
team.
sold it. Right. You could have had a home and sold it, 5 years ago. You'd qualify for a first-time home buyer product today. You were going to finish answering that one question, though, because I know we're talking about some of the on the programs that we were going over just now.
About running out of money.
And about running out of money.
Yeah, okay.
On the Harris County side of things.
Yeah,
So
no,
We've got
Harris
under a
County-
minute.
Harris County could. They could in theory. I know they've got funds right now, and they're usually really good about kind of notifying their lenders ahead of time.
That is correct.
Hey, we've got this much, this many loans left, and so the programs, they really do try hard to work with the realtors and the lenders. And I'll tell you, a lot of the programs, we talked about United Texas class educating our realtors. I mean, they bring the programs out there to educate those realtors, so it's straight from the horse's mouth.
I'm
And
learning something
education
today
is
myself.
what
We're
we're
up
about on
against
the
a hard
show,
break.
but we're up against a break again. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I think that you can agree that you're not the same person you were a year ago. Something changed either because you had a death in the family, new job, or about to purchase a home. Allow the team at Jason Jimenez Insurance Agency to protect those areas of your life that mean so much to you. Their goal is to provide peace of mind for your shelter, transportation, business, or life. The Jason Jimenez Agency is a second-generation insurance company that's been ranked in the top 1% multiple times. They're dedicated to being there for their clients when it really counts. Call today and become part of the family. 713-270-0073. That's 713-270-0073. A friend will be there for a friend. Allow Jason Jimenez to be your friend.
I'll be right there. I've got to get the clothes out of the washing machine. Why is there soap everywhere, honey?
Not all home warranties are the same. OneGuard Home Warranties, in business for over 23 years, has plans designed for Texas. Whether you're buying, selling, or if you own a home, check out OneGuard's great protection for your home systems and appliances. They really offer more, including convenience features other companies haven't even thought of, like lawn fertilization and a very extensive pest control plans included, to name a few. Contact one of 3 awesome Houston home warranty representatives, Natasha, Sandra, and Bill, and see why they have one of the highest renewal rates in the industry. Call today or have your realtor or title company call OneGuard at 888-896-0014. That's 888-896-0014. Or visit them at OneGuardHomeWarranty.com. You've seen the rest. Now buy from the best. OneGuard Home Warranties.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome
we're back.
One thing is time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, my gosh.
So
Every
two
show.
items. Number one, we got a great show. We're talking all about down payment assistance.
Yes.
All the different programs, et cetera, out there. We got some great guests. We are going to talk with Ruby, who is actually a realtor also and knows a lot about the down payment assistance programs. But first, we have a caller right now.
We have a caller.
Diane, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good, and you?
Yes. We got Diane. Okay, she's there. I can hear her. We always play with headphones here. We have to put on headphones so we can hear you guys. So all of us start scrambling when there's a call to grab headphones. Diane, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yay! All right. Glad to have you on the show today, Diane. What question do you have for our guests?
Well, I wanted to know that in order to qualify for the down payment assistance program, what were my credit scores? Like, what do they need to be?
Well, Ruby, you're there. Jump on the mic.
Typically, the minimum credit score is going to be a 640. I know that some lenders out there will tell you that you can qualify with a lesser score for their loan programs, but for these down payment assistance programs, you're definitely looking at a 640.
And I would concur. I would say most of the time it's a 640.
Mm-hmm.
You have a couple of them that you can program. You can qualify at a 620. I tell everybody is if you're looking at qualifying anything below a 620, there's different down payment requirements associated with it, different requirements, period. And generally speaking, the box is so small that a lot of individuals don't qualify, unfortunately.
Right, and for the most part, if you do qualify under 620, there's going to be other hoops of fires, so to speak, to cross throughout the process, which makes it tremendously stressful.
I love that analogy. Hoops of fire.
Great imagery there.
Yeah. So 640, that's kind of the magic number even for the down payment assistance programs. That's kind of a magic number across the board in most home loans.
That is
as
correct.
we're seeing. So, shameless plug here, I would say. We have folks at my office, ImproveMyCreditUSA.com. Whether you know your scores or not, whether you think you might be in a good position score-wise, give us a shout because we'll go through the process of seeing where you're at. So you know, hey, you're at a 680. You're good. You're good to go. We'll get you over to Ruby to go out looking for a house, and Shad as well.
I'll say no. I think they'd have to go to Chris first for the approval. And
Yeah, oh yes.
Oh, now that is an excellent sign, by the way.
Sharp realtor there. Yes. Yes.
We've got to educate Joe on the process.
Yes. that's an expert. She goes, I'm not getting in the car. Yeah.
Give me an approval, we'll get in the car.
Time is money.
Well, and that makes sense because really, do you want to waste somebody's time and show them things, get them all excited about a house, and they can't buy it? I mean,
I would absolutely agree. Well, Diane, does that answer your question, by the way?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Well, we have a great show, guys, and we have a lot of experts in the studio. We actually have a tremendous amount of expertise just in it with a few folks here on down payment assistance. That's our topic for the day. So if you're out there, you're looking at buying a home, and you're considering a first-time home purchase, that type of thing, it's a great question to ask, a great question to know. Is there money out there to assist in the process of getting into that first home? That's a big deal, and that's what we're chatting about today. 800-808-5548 is our number.
By George, he got it right.
He got it right this time. And, we have Ruby right now.
It took the
one
first
of the things
20
we've been
shows.
speaking about. Yes, right. We've been speaking, obviously, with Shad prior to this, going over some of the initiations of the initial products out there, talking about the Southeast Texas Housing Corporation. Now we're talking with Ruby, actually. And, one of the things that we want to talk about, obviously, is one of the things that Shad said was find a good realtor who knows what they're talking about.
Oh,
you fit that bill.
Rockin' Ruby Miranda.
That actually is so true because being on the front lines, I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers, and they come to me, and I'm amazed, blown away at that they've dealt with other realtors who have never mentioned to them these programs. And the thing is that they need these programs. I had a young couple last year. They were only qualified up to $65,000. They had a 4-year-old and a 1-month-old baby. We're going and seeing these $65,000 houses, rough houses. And I feel bad because, I'm looking at their children. How are they going to crawl on the floor in these houses? And it's crazy. So I said, hey, they're approved like they're a big bank. I got the lender that I work with. I got him on the phone, put them on there. I said, after kind of talking to them a little bit, I knew that the hands down they would qualify. Got them approved. By the time I got back to the office, looked up some more houses, found one property, $89,000 property, which of course you're thinking that's totally over where they need to be. But after negotiations, getting some closing costs, and after getting a $20,000 grant program, these people came in under budget. So their payment was well under $600 because their loan amount was close to like $67,000 or something.
Wow.
And you know what? To this day, that was 3 years ago, that I am their realtor of choice. They refer me friends, family, cousin, because they got some free money. They want everybody to get that money.
Well, and this is such a great point here, and this touches on what Shad was talking about earlier, and I wanted to bring out was the philosophy behind these programs. What's the point? Because that's the people right there. That's the people we're talking about. You have two kids that are either going to grow up in a really nasty house, nothing in a bad setting possibly, or an apartment complex. And, apartment complexes have become long-term housing for a lot of folks, and they were never meant to be long-term housing. The crime rates and everything else around it's just not, not that there's not good apartments out there. I don't want to, downplay that.
Yeah, the apartment association will be calling any
right?
minute now.
But they were never meant to be long-term family solutions. That wasn't the point. So that's the family right there that these kind of programs are meant to
And I would say it really does because
help.
The pride of home ownership goes such a long way for the community, for the person, for the family. And so it doesn't just affect the parents. It affects the children. It affects the neighborhood they move into. When you have a neighborhood where you have more home ownership, that pride of ownership shows. They take care of their yards. They don't have the trash, the debris, versus when you have a neighborhood that is predominantly rentals, you have that, I don't care, it's the landlord's problem. So when you're able to take this tool where somebody who might not have a big chunk of money saved to buy a better quality house, and now here you are able to educate them and offer them these programs that they would not have otherwise known about because these like this particular couple was not necessarily internet savvy. They were young. They had worked with a realtor before. They had specifically asked her, "Is there anything out there for me?" She's like, "You don't want to mess with all that." And you have
Not
these
the
realtors
right
out there.
answer.
I know, and it's crazy.
You don't know what you don't know.
When they look at me and tell me, "Gosh, Ruby, you're so nice," and I'm like, "Well, thanks." I mean, shouldn't everybody be nice and educating them and want the best for them? But the pride that they have in their home is just phenomenal.
Well, and one of the things I'll tell you, it's funny, in this show, it seems like every Saturday I have an agent that sends me one of their newsletters, and it's always appropriate for the actual show. One of his newsletters today says, "Can I afford not to buy?" And it's really neat because it says here, buying versus renting, okay? A $900 payment on a mortgage, which is about $700 of interest, versus an $800 in rent, okay? Assuming a 28% tax bracket on an annualized basis, this doesn't include down payment assistance or anything, this is just buying, right? You will be saving $8,448 a year by buying a property versus a cost of about $1,150 on the rental side of things.
And not even taking into account that rent's going to go up.
That
and
is
you
correct.
have no control over that.
And this will, and it goes on to say is this doesn't include the equity that you build in the property, which is now a wealth building factor, something that Shad talked about a bit earlier today. So, I mean, that's one of the things is now if you can couple that with down payment assistance, it's sort of a no-brainer, and it's a win-win when it comes to our potential clients out there.
So, Ruby, I want to ask, because as I said at the beginning of the show, I know very little about the whole process. Who is, you gave us a great example right there of one couple. Who is the person out there that should be asking,
well,
do we have any down payment assistance programs?
Well, definitely if you're a first-time home buyer, ask. Because it doesn't hurt to see if you qualify. You may not qualify, but gosh, if you apply and you do qualify, that's a wealth of information. So, and not only is it a wealth of money, it's a wealth of information because you get your education courses. And then the typical home buyer is going to stay in their house, 5 to 7 years is what all the statistics say. So some of these programs that have you in there for 10 years, 3 more years past the average time is really not that bad. And you have instant equity. And actually, I know that the payback on some of these have stipulations where you might not have to pay them back, depending on growth and don't get me started. That's the mortgage side of it, so I don't know all that part of it. But there are stipulations. But still, if you're only talking 3 years past the average 5 to 7 years, it's great. Get some money in there. I have people. I think the highest priced home that I've sold on this program was a $180,000 house. Because you have two different types of buyers out there that I find. You have the ones that can save the money, but that payment they got to keep it low. Their DTI is low. They don't make a lot of money. They have their debts and everything like that. So they got to keep their DTI real low, so they can't afford a lot of house, but yet they can save the money.
And DTI is debt to income.
Oh, sorry, debt to income ratio. Sorry. And but then with the other consumers, you have the other type of consumer that they're like, say, the $180,000, they can make that monthly payment, no problem, but they just can't save the money, And so here you have these people that, they're paying rent somewhere. Everybody's paying rent somewhere. You're living somewhere. So might as well be in your own home. It might as well be in something that's not only within your budget, but is better for you. And you have all these benefits and education that come along with it.
Awesome.
I wish she'd get some enthusiasm about this,
I know. She does.
I'm really passionate about home
You need to
buying.
dial up the energy level a little bit there.
I love DPA. I love down payment assistance programs. They're phenomenal.
So tell me,
we love acronyms also.
Yeah.
I know. I'm working on it.
Yeah, and I do caution people always, when you have an acronym, we're so used to talking in acronyms. Sometimes you have to stop and go, oh, we've got consumers out there who have no idea what we're talking about.
I should totally know better. I actually just took a class on this on Thursday.
But I'm usually there to chime in. Tell me, what other kind of programs you've worked with? You've talked about that one couple. Tell me some other programs you had some success with.
Well, I've worked with the City of Houston $19,500 down payment assistance program. Baytown has a similar program that I've worked with. Brazoria County has a similar program. Galveston County has a similar program. So I've worked in all these counties with those programs. I've done the 5-star program. Love the 5-star program. I think they kind of MCC. The majority of my people get MCC. I get, it's few and far between that can't qualify for that, because I like the way the banker that I work with, the way he phrases it. These programs are kind of tiered. You have the $20,000 for the really low income. You have the 5-star for the mid income, and then for the slightly higher income, the MCC, the MCC is going to kind of fit them. So either way, apply for these programs because you never know if you're going to get the 20 or the tax credit.
The worst they can
And it's
tell you
money
is
out there.
no.
Right.
That's the worst they can tell you. Or you can save thousands of dollars a year. That's
You
that's
have
amazing.
not because you ask not.
Oh, and the beauty is when you qualify for one of these down payment programs and you get that MCC alongside of it. So not only are you getting money up front to help you with that down payment, but you're getting money year after year after year
Over
for
the
the
long
life
term.
of the loan.
Yep.
So you can do a combination of those programs.
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And there's other programs out there. But
What are
that's
you
the-
waiting for out there?
Hey, you know what?
We got two
Inventory.
realtors here ready to help you.
Chomping at the bit. We're coming up on a break, and we want to make sure you guys out there listening, if there's anybody out there that's in an apartment right now, I'm telling you what, you should be on the line talking to these guys because we've got the expertise you need. 800-808-5548. Give us a call, and we'll get those questions answered about what programs apply to you and what we can do to get you into a house.
Absolutely. And we're going to be right back.
I think that you can agree that you're not the same person you were a year ago. Something changed either because you had a death in the family, new job, or about to purchase a home. Allow the team at Jason Jimenez Insurance Agency to protect those areas of your life that mean so much to you. Their goal is to provide peace of mind for your shelter, transportation, business, or life. The Jason Jimenez Agency is a second-generation insurance company that's been ranked in the top 1% multiple times. They're dedicated to being there for their clients when it really counts. Call today and become part of the family. 713-270-0073. That's 713-270-0073. A friend will be there for a friend. Allow Jason Jimenez to be your friend.
Are you looking to finance a new home or refinance your existing home? Look no further. Call Chris Kelso at Willow Bend Mortgage. Willow Bend Mortgage is a mortgage banker in the greater Houston area. In business since 1993, Willow Bend Mortgage offers a great array of products from FHA, VA, and USDA loans to conventional and jumbo loans, all with great rates and incredible service from Chris and his staff. Call Chris Kelso at Willow Bend Mortgage today, 713-256-9138, or online at chriskelso.com. Again, that's 713-256-9138 or online at chriskelso.com. Available 24 hours a day. Great rates, exceptional service. That's Willow Bend Mortgage.
When you're buying or selling real estate, you can trust Prudential Anderson Properties, the fastest growing real estate company in Houston. Prudential Anderson Properties has over 300 trained professional realtors ready to serve you in 15 locations throughout Houston and across the state. Whether you're buying, selling, or leasing, Prudential Anderson Properties is the smart choice. Check us out at AndersonProps.com. That's AndersonProps.com. Find out why so many choose Prudential Anderson Properties for all their real estate needs. You know us. We know real estate.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
Man, I always love the change that we made when we brought that intro back in.
I
That
love
was
that.
awesome.
I love that guy.
You know, I love him. You know, shout out to him every single time. Well, you know, we've been having a great time. We've been talking about, obviously, down payment assistance programs, or known as DPAs, the acronym right there. And, you know, one of the things we've gone through, obviously, how they started. We talked with Chad. We talked about Southeast Texas. We've spoken with Ruby. You know, one of the things, though, I tell everybody is when you're buying a home, no matter what you're doing, whether you're buying a home, whether you own a home right now, whether you've gone through one of these programs and you're a year into it, we have a very special guest right now, and she's also a contributor and a sponsor of the show. And this is
Natasha Livingston.
Natasha with
Thank
OneGuard.
you, Chris. What a warm welcome. Thank you guys for having me here today. Wow, what an amazing show so far. Being a part of the real estate community for so many years, it's always good to hear knowledge coming from the agents as well as our other affiliates here. But so much so, the programs that are offered for these new home buyers is awesome. You have to really get that information. But what's key that they have been saying is having an educated realtor that knows what information to give you. And where we come in as a warranty company, especially for a new home buyer, a lot of them don't have the information on what a warranty company does. We cover the mechanics of the home on the inside from front to back, not the structure. But when I say mechanics, that means an AC unit, a heating system. We cover a plumbing system. We cover your range oven, your cooktop, dishwasher, sprinkler system. We also do pest control. So those are convenience features that we offer as a home warranty company that are a true asset to especially a first-time home buyer. After they have gone through this entire process, all they need is for something to break down. What are they going to do? Who are they going to call? They're going to call their agent back. This is a new home for them. They may have spent all their funds and the funds that they have gotten from their down payment assistance program, so they're not going to have much, to offer or to do at that point. So I say that to say they need a warranty.
Well, you know
Absolutely.
what? I think home warranties are going to be applicable and great for everybody that owns a home. But I think if I had to identify one person in my mind that I think it's most applicable to, it's going to be that first-time home buyer. You just don't know what you're getting into when you get that first house. There's a lot more maintenance and upkeep than you're ever aware of going into it for the first time. After you've been there for 5 years or whatever, you kind of get the routine. Right. But there's a lot of stuff that can hit you unawares, and especially if it's not a new home, if it's a resale, that kind of thing. Right. That you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. I agree. Speaking of what you don't know, you can't see over there, Joe, but we actually have a caller right now. Margaret, how are you doing?
I am.
How are you doing, Margaret?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you.
Okay, great. Again, I am an apartment dweller, but I'm interested in buying a home. I'm not a first-time home buyer, however. I'm interested in the Harris County area, the 1960 or 290 area. And I wonder if there's a program that would offer some down payment assistance to me.
Harris County 290 area. How long have you been? How long has it been since you've owned a home?
I currently own a home out in the Lake Livingston area. I'm interested, though, in getting out of an apartment that I maintain in Houston because I work there into another home in Houston.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, probably we've got some, phenomenal expertise here, and Ruby's chomping at the bit over there.
Typically, you have to have not owned real estate for the past 3 years, whether it's land, house, or anything. But I think Chris.
Okay.
Right. And what happens is, traditionally speaking, as she was saying, you say you currently own a property in Livingston. And so, you are technically right now a home owner. You are not a first-time home buyer.
Correct.
And so part of that right there is you there's a lot of financing you would qualify for, especially depending upon how much you owe on that property in Livingston. But a lot of the bond programs.
There's nothing owed on the other property, so we're fine there.
There's nothing owed on that other property right there?
Correct.
Right. But still, it's still something that you own, even if there's not a mortgage involved with that?
No.
Now, there may be programs. I know there is a program. I don't know offhand which program it is, but there is a program that, so long as you sell the program, I want to say maybe it's 5-star, Rhonda? I believe with that program, after